So what year did you move to Portland?
I think it must have been 1995.
Cool. You moved to Lake Oswego, which is technically outside of Portland, but
yeah,
the same area.
Yeah. Just a suburb.
So part of this project, I have to submit pictures, and one of the things that I found was like the really striking difference between how the Pearl District looked in like 1997 to now.
Oh, good. Mhm.
Because like the picture I found from 1997 is like the Pearl District is pretty much a rail yard.
Wow. Yeah. I think there's always the rail yard across the river, but even on the downtown side there was a big rail yard there. See, I don't even know.
That's what I found. It was like an historic picture of the Pearl. Do you remember any of that? Like kind of
Not
when
really.
the Pearl started?
I mean, what I remember, and I talked with Dad a little bit about this, before. One of the earliest forays that I would make into what is now the Pearl District, or called the Pearl District, was, where the North Park blocks are.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be a big fabric store there called Daisy Kingdom, which was kind of fabulous. And so I would go over there, and the bus station and the train station, were sort of up in that general direction. But the part that's now the Pearl District just seemed to be kind of warehouses and kind of light industrial that you wouldn't go to unless you had a reason. It wasn't a place that you would, as a just resident, wander in. So I don't remember any rail yards where there could have been.
Describe sort of how it looked.
Well, I didn't get much off the park blocks and the places I had reason to go. So I guess I can't really describe it firsthand that way until we started until the first things started opening up in the Pearl District. So like the restaurant Blue Hour, and I don't know if you can think of it, it's that, I think it's 13th that it's on, which has some weird kind of warehousey buildings with elevated sidewalks on either side. Can you imagine?
Yeah, no, I've been to Blue Hour.
The ones I'm talking about. Yeah, and so up and down on that street, by the time we started to go there, which was probably, I don't know, if we moved in 1995, it was probably after 2000, that we went a couple of times. We had little kids. We didn't go all the time. There were art galleries there and sort of funky design shops, furniture. It was kind of, it seems like that's the street that sort of began to open up kind of the Pearl, and the whole First Thursday thing. And it was kind of scruffy, but the art galleries and the design shops kind of moved in there. But again, it's not like I wandered around in the streets where there wasn't anything to go to. But I know just walking around there now, there used to be some old, or not now, but more recently, there used to be some old, like, tool and die, machine bearing places, things that you certainly wouldn't find there anymore.
Yeah, so what is, if you could describe the Pearl now, how would you describe it?
Well, that first wave of kind of more independent galleries and shops has kind of given way. Of course, they've built a lot of housing, a lot of fancy condos and apartments and high-rises in that general area. I mean, I'm taking a kind of liberal view of what's called the Pearl District. It's sort of the Pearl District and surrounds. So it's kind of gotten settled. They've built parks and a lot of housing, and all the sort of attendant retail that goes with housing. But the galleries have moved out, and the sort of funky shops, there's a few left maybe. But it seems like what they've mostly been replaced with are things like Whole Foods and Sur La Table and Title IX, which I love, but, it's national. It's not like a local business. And, places, kind of boutiques and places that are not necessarily local to Portland anymore, kind of upscale retail and dining and that sort of thing. And it's not all true, but there's certainly more of that now than there was then. I think in the early days, the Weinhard's Brewery still made beer down there by Powell's, and Powell's was kind of in the scruffy north end of town, and now it's surrounded by all that, pretty upscale anthropology and that kind of store.
Yeah. So I guess if we're talking about the Pearl, it's like, what are some of the things they used to do here? Well, you didn't really used to go to the Pearl because it was not really a place that you went.
It's true. I mean, like I said, there were a couple places like Daisy Kingdom or Powell's, would sort of take you up into that, boomer, would take you up into that area just to visit those places. But it wasn't like a wander around and explore kind of place, at least not for me.
And now it kind of is.
Now it is, yeah. Now, and it's continuing. I mean, as we speak, it's sort of moved out like into Slab Town now. So the area has expanded, but the building certainly hasn't stopped. And I would say it not only extends sort of north now into what they call Slab Town and kind of heading up towards Northwest 23rd, and even across the river, the close-in neighborhoods are getting redeveloped with condos and housing and retail and stuff. So it's really, I don't know, I'm not an urban planner, but I feel like the city, not unlike other cities, but really kind of redeveloping from the inside out,
Yeah.
with attendant costs and benefits. So.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's all I really have to ask you. But I don't know, if you could say one thing about how Portland has changed, what would it be?
Well, so you mean like this area that we're talking about, or the city as a whole? What do you think?
Either, I think. Just.
I would say that on the one hand, that it's a mixed blessing. That as gentrification and redevelopment often is, and if you have the sort of money and transportation and wherewithal to enjoy it, it's very nice, and it feels prosperous and safe and interesting. But it's lost some of the funkiness, the galleries and that whole scene has had to move elsewhere. And that sort of continues to retreat to other sort of lower rent districts of the city. So it's still there. It's just a moving target to go find it if you're interested. And
yeah.
I guess, I feel like even that sort of Pearl area it's starting to lose its character. It's like the businesses you can find there, you can find in California or in other places. It's not sort of unique and funky anymore. But it's very nice.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.